definition of emotional intelligence is being aware that emotions can drive our behavior and impact people positively and negatively, and learning how to manage those emotions, that's the big one, both our own and others, especially when we are under pressure. Now, this is Daniel Goleman, who's really kind of viewed as the grandfather of emotional intelligence and really published a lot of his work back in the mid-90s all the way up to present time. He's continued to work on it. But what he initially did and where he derived this emotional intelligence concept was he actually surveyed 188 large companies throughout the world and found that the most prevalent and sought after leadership concept really came back to really these things: being able to really understand emotions, being able to manage our emotions. And it gets real tricky when we try to manage the emotions of other people, especially when under pressure. So that brings up the thought, like, can we really manage other people's emotions? Well, their level of professionalism, their workplace culture, what is acceptable, what is not. We attempt to do this by creating our mission and vision, and hope that many people that come on board will understand that's really at the core what we're all about and what we're operating under. Or we also set policies and procedures. And when those don't work out, then we put people on performance reviews and performance improvement plans so they can kind of have an opportunity to get back in check once again. So, this is just really interesting that, first of all, just trying to manage our own emotions first and foremost, and how accurately and how good we've been doing that, because many of us are just kind of like getting through our day and we don't take much time to reflect on what's going on. As I indicated before, many of you already took the official emotional intelligence quiz that was on the Center for the Greater Good Science Center. But now we are going to have just a short little mini quiz as we go through here, and I'm going to ask you to respond. So the first question, and I want you to answer as honestly as possible. No one's going to see your answers. No one's going to see your score. So when criticized, A, ignore the criticism. B, listen and learn. C, become defensive. Or D, get angry. So if you can pick which one there and then score yourself. So if you answered A, it's 3, B is 4, C is 2, D is 1. So let's go on to the next question. In a difficult situation, A, get scared. B, retreat if possible. C, maintain a positive attitude. Or D, let others take the lead. And again, I'd ask you to score yourself. So A will be 1, B 2, C 4, D 3. And I know this is a little bit more difficult for folks that are just calling in, so that's why I'm trying to repeat it and see things. So let's take a minute to think about what emotions really are. All right, so believe it or not, there are over 34,000 emotions and 4,000 feelings listed in the English language. Most people can easily recognize at least 500, but typically only identify with less than 50. So isn't that interesting that even our emotional vocabulary is limited a great deal? So we can look at emotions, and emotions really tell us what we like and what we dislike. Emotions ensure immediate survival of self, and emotions are intense but temporary. And when you think about emotions, what we like and dislike, so for some, being in the middle of the forest, surrounded by nothing and no one, for some, that would bring on a sense of awe. For others, that would incite total fear. So only you know the emotion that you feel when you like or dislike something. So let's connect that with feelings. And so how does that coincide with our feelings? So feelings tell us really how to live, They're more long-term for survival of self, and feelings are low-key but sustainable. They stick around for a long period of time, and sometimes they surface back to the top again when we just don't want them there, because they live oftentimes in our unconscious mind. So interestingly, these characters may be a little familiar to you. Pixar's Inside Out personifies the 5 major emotions. And you can probably depict them yourselves if you've seen this movie, but we have from left to right, joy, disgust, anger, fear, and sadness, residing in the mind of a preteen girl named Riley. What's a little bit discerning about this is that there's only one positive emotion there. There's 4 rather negative emotions and only 1 positive emotion. So I hope that that's not the case typically, but these emotions come first and are universal. What kind of feelings these emotions elicit will vary again from per person, situation to situation, because feelings are shaped by our individual temperament and our experience. So let's take a look at some common emotions. Again, according to University of Berkeley, the Center for the Greater Good Science Center, these have been have bubbled to the top as the 27 most common emotions, and you can see them here. So let's look at a few of them that we may have experienced in the past 2 months. We may have had admiration toward the front line, the healthcare workers, the first responders. We may have experienced aesthetic appreciation for the clear blue sky on a sunny day, which we haven't had many of them, unfortunately, here in Maryland. At least warm sunny days. Being in the forest when there is no one else around. Anger, that life as we know it is on a permanent pause. Calmness through meditation, reading daily devotionals, or being surrounded by your family. Disappointment, no proms, no graduation ceremonies, no parties. New births are visiting people through just a window instead of being able to hold them in the nursery and being able to have baby showers and weddings and all of those things, even funerals. All of that is on pause for us. And so there's a great deal of disappointment that many people are encountering at this time. There is excitement when the Amazon van stops in front of your house, or for some, going for a ride in the car actually brings on a great deal of delight. So we really just need to think about our emotions and look at what we're experiencing throughout this time period. So let's take a look at some of these common emotions and see. There's joy. And so these are some common emotions in this list of 27. But then let's see how they mirror up with feelings. So joy may have a feeling of happiness. Fear, we may be worried. Enthusiasm may come across as just total contentment. Anger may lead to bitterness. Attraction may induce a feeling of love. And then lastly, we want to look at how do those actions actually play out. So how do they emote, or how do we respond or react to those emotions? And so when we align that, we can see that, of course, maybe some of your actions may be a little bit differently, but that we actually take our physicality and act out these emotions oftentimes. Very few people just sit and don't change anything in their physical presence when they're experiencing various types of emotions. Still, another way to look at emotions is the Plutchik's Wheel of Emotion. And I really like this one. It really helps us to understand the range of emotions. And actually, Robert Plutchik, who was born in 1927 and passed away in 2006, was an emeritus professor at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx, New York. He was also a professor at the University of South Florida. Plutchik received his PhD from Columbia University, and he was a psychologist, authored more than 260 articles, 45 chapters, 8 books, and edited 7 books. Obviously, one of his main research interests included the study of emotions. He proposed that there are 8 primary emotions that serve as the foundation for all others. Those are joy, sadness, acceptance, disgust, fear, anger, surprise, and anticipation.